Hello there. I really wanted to like this, but unfortunately, I have to declare Wonder Woman to be the most disappointing movie of 2017. At least for me, anyway. I'm not saying it's the worst movie of 2017. That's Transformers: The Last Knight. I'm not saying that it's the worst superhero movie of 2017. That's Justice League. I'm not saying that it's the worst DCEU movie. That's Batman v Superman. I mean, it is bad, but it's not offensively bad. It's not the 2017 movie that had the worst creative decisions. That was The Mummy. Hey, The Mummy was made specifically to start Universal's Dark Universe, which seems to have started and seemingly ended with said Mummy. And yeah, if you go back and watch my original review of Wonder Woman, it sounds more positive. But keep in mind that I was still pretty disappointed. But for the longest time I couldn't figure out why. I had to think about the movie for a while. Watch it a few more times. Consider what it accomplished. Yes, it was a financial success. Yes, it was positively received by critics and audiences. Maybe that had something to do with it. I saw the abysmal Rotten Tomatoes score for Man of Steel, which was 55%, and Batman v Superman, which had 26%, and Suicide Squad, which had, I believe, 27%. And here comes Wonder Woman with an approval rating of over 90%. And I might have let myself get a touch excited, and that might have creeped into my original review. But now I have to admit that I was way too kind to Wonder Woman. Is Wonder Woman a total failure? Of course not. Is there anything good in it? Of course. That's why I'm going to first be discussing what I liked about Wonder Woman, before I get into what I didn't like about Wonder Woman and what I ultimately thought stopped it from working. And there will be spoilers. You have been warned. Wonder Woman, the character, was very well written. She's a formidable warrior, but has lived her entire life in Themyscira. Her constant naivete and fish-out-of-water arc works here and makes sense. And in a better movie, having this character that sees everything in a good and evil black-and-white dichotomy, only to have her realize that there's no such thing, would have been brilliant. I like the humor. When I saw snippets of the jokes in the trailers, I figured that the humor would have been awkward and unfunny. I'm happy to admit that I was mostly wrong, and the scene of Diana trying to carry the God Killer out into the streets always gives me chuckles. The Renaissance painting style background exposition in the beginning of the movie was pretty much the movie's only good effect, and it was a damn good effect. The twist at the end involving Ares the God of War is something that theoretically could have been devastating. That Wonder Woman guitar theme is awesome. Those were the things in this movie that I thought were good, or were theoretically good. I'm now going to address what I thought wasn't good about this movie. And this won't be referring to the supposed SJW bias, because I don't give a shit about that. Nor will it be referring to the accused feminist pandering. Anyone that had those complaints are stupid and were probably just making things up to hate about Wonder Woman. Are any of those things present in this movie? I guess, but they aren't what ruined this movie for me. I also don't agree with James Cameron's opinion that Wonder Woman is a poor feminist movie because Diana shows off her legs. That's stupid. Is it stupider than Patty Jenkins' rebuttal that he's wrong because he's a man? Probably, but what Jenkins said back to James Cameron was also pretty damn stupid. And are now beginning to why Wonder Woman was not good for me. The effects were pretty lousy. I did acknowledge that the exposition rendered in the style of Renaissance art was beautiful, but everything else was substandard. That bullet that took out one of the Amazonians, the island of Themyscira being an obvious digital set. Yeah, the effects of Captain America Civil War weren't much better, but Civil War was a much better movie, so it didn't matter as much. I guess that the effects of Wonder Woman weren't its biggest problem, but we're just getting started. It's a DCEU movie. What's one thing that distinguishes DC from its competitor Marvel? Tone. DC goes for a tone that's considerably darker and grittier compared to Marvel's brighter and funnier direction. DC has received much criticism for its dark tone, but while I acknowledge that DC's movies are bad, they are not bad because they're too dark. That's stupid. Wonder Woman, on the other hand, has a brighter tone similar to Marvel's. And I can't help but think that this is supposed to be an answer to everyone that said, she is too dick! Not of learning from your mistakes and evolving as an artist, but rather of, well, too many people say we're dark, add more jokes! Which is apparent in Suicide Squad, which had to go through additional reshoots to add more humor. Which isn't exactly what happened to Justice League, but I think that Joss Whedon felt the same way. Does every superhero movie have to be dark? No, of course not. But with the other movies being dark, and generally being considered disappointing, and with what many considered to be your good movie being brighter, I hope that the conclusion that you reach isn't as simple as turning up the colors and adding more jokes. Wonder Woman on No Man's Land is an unbelievably overrated scene. Really, all she does is block gunfire with her shield and skip through. I mean, say what you want about Zack Snyder, but at least he can direct action. Gal Gadot and Chris Pine lacked sexual chemistry. Yes, they were cute together, and I get the idea of what they were going for, but I did not believe for 1 second that these people were falling in love. I wouldn't care so much if they were just being developed as friends. But no, the movie wants us to buy that they were in love, and I just don't buy it. What is this movie's theme? It seems to be that wars aren't bad because they're bad, but rather wars are bad because people are bad, or rather that's what I think I'm supposed to be getting from it. But okay, this movie is set in World War I. I think that this was supposed to help with the ambiguity that the movie was trying to create for Diana to figure out, but it doesn't work. The British generals are portrayed as completely incompetent, although I do have to admit that this is pretty much the way the generals actually were in World War I. The Germans act like Nazis even though the Nazis wouldn't exist for a while, and it's especially whiplashy when one of your main villains acts like your stereotypical Nazi and speaks in one-dimensional "I am evil" dialogue. Setting the movie in World War I seems to be its attempt to have its cake and eat it too, but no. I say that if you're going to make a movie set in World War I, but put Nazis in it, I say just set it in World War II and make your Nazis less out of place. I mean, Gal Gadot is Israeli. Having her fight Nazis would be pretty cathartic, right? And the inclusion of Ares doesn't help either. Chris Pine's character suggests to Diana, maybe people aren't always good. Well, I guess it doesn't matter when Wonder Woman's final boss is the fucking God of War who has been acting as a muse for these characters to continue World War I. How many times have I said World War I in this video? And it really didn't help that I predicted this like 1 hour in advance. All because of how Patty Jenkins chose to use one shot. So people aren't always good. But it doesn't matter as long as you have Professor Lupin to blame. But he thinks he's the good guy, even though he's being amused for a cartoonishly evil not Nazi. But he's not even the only Nazi in this movie, and there aren't any bad guys in the Allies. So what kind of writing is that? The bad kind. I know that a lot of people like this movie, and okay, you guys can have your fun, but I just can't. Maybe it's me. Maybe I've been hurt too many times by DC. I saw the review scores. This is the one that everyone loves. I even convinced myself that I thought it almost worked. This was the DC movie that was supposed to change everything. It didn't. I guess that's the power of hype. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe. Sayonara.